Good morning, everyone. I wanted to go over the needs assessment assignment that is due this coming Sunday. Um, I just want to highlight a few things and provide some guidance on what the deliverables are for this week. So I, as usual, am not going to read you the assignment introduction, but I am going to kind of just highlight here that for this scenario, in this situation, you're the HIM director and you're being asked to serve as a project manager for the investigation, acquisition, and eventual purchase of software to facilitate and help coordinate the home healthcare portion or sector of a hospital. And so one thing to note here, please make sure that you read chapters 1 and 7. I need you to have a really good understanding of the system development lifecycle. And then also, please focus on the primary uses of an EHR system, and you can find guidance for that on in table 7.2 in the text. So make sure you do that. There is a older article here on functional needs assessment and things and what you need to do for or consider for home care. It is an older article, but very relevant to this assignment. So make sure you read that as well. So here's the scenario. Again, I'm not going to read that to you. It's kind of lengthy, but all of it's really important information. Um, and then we're going to get into the actual assignment and the deliverables. The first deliverable is really that is a plan that addresses how you as a project manager are going to conduct a functional needs assessment to address clinical staff, revenue cycle staff and management, and end user needs. Okay, so it's that functional needs assessment and it's how you're going to go about conducting that. I don't need you to actually create a fake functional needs assessment with fake information from end users, but I need you to really consider what each of those end users and those individuals need out of this system. Okay. So make sure that you're, again, like I said, reviewing chapter 7 in the Margaret A. text for guidance on this, but your plan should address, um, let's see here, how you will ensure clinical staff buy-in, revenue cycle staff and management, and end user buy-in. So explain how you will accomplish this. You need to be specific and support your plan with supporting documentation from your personal research or the Margaret A. text. Okay. And then second part of that is how you will identify the internal and external information needs of the home health agency. Again, explain how you will accomplish this. What is the best way to do this based on your research and or the course reading? So be specific and support your plan again with that documentation. So it's really how are you going to one, get their buy-in, but then two, how are you going to go about collecting all of their needs? So it's gaining an understanding of what their needs are and how are you going to go about collecting those. Okay. So that's what I need you to explain in that first part, and that can simply be an essay or some type of written report. Okay. Then the second part of the functional needs assessment, once you've identified what their needs are, we're going to kind of translate that into this key differentiators or needs table. Okay, so key differentiators is just a fancy way of saying what are the end user needs. Okay, so it's needs. Um, I have put some sample um, key differentiators or needs here in the table, but the second part of the assignment is really just to fill in that table. Okay, so what you need to do is really identify what those needs are and fill them in. And so you need to consider what are some of the comprehensive functionality points. I've just filled in patient portal here as an example. Obviously, you're going to want to back out these ratings. I'll get to that in a minute, but let's just focus on this first column here first. So comprehensive functionality. So what functionality does this EHR system need to have? Okay. So for example, how do home care clinicians and nurses and nurses aides and PTs and and occupational therapists document. What are their needs? Okay. So think about that. Do some research on that. What's some other functionality that they need? Is a patient portal necessary? I don't know. What does the research tell you? So thinking about that, what maybe are there other systems that this needs to connect with? What's needed for coding? What's needed for those revenue cycle folks? Think about the OASIS form. How is that going to fit into this? Okay. If you don't know what an OASIS form is, definitely research that. You're going to need to know that. um, then technology. So does it need to be compatible with tablets? Are tablets used by the providers and clinicians in taking care of these individuals? Are drawing tools needed? What interfaces are needed? I have interfaces listed here, but it's very generic. So consider maybe making this more specific to home care. Is an interface needed with a lab system or imaging system, or maybe um, a separate billing system? Think about those things, okay? And then implementation, ongoing support. So what type of on-site training or training is needed for implementation? What type of support is needed? 24/7 help desk is an example here of an on-site training is, but try to get more specific with like on-site training, okay? But also research what type of implementation support, ongoing support is maybe standard for home care, okay? And then vendor characteristics. Again, certified EHR, what does that mean? They have a good reputation. Again, what does that mean? Okay, so think about some of those characteristics that you might look for in a vendor that you can list here. Okay. So that's what the first step is. And then the second step is the second column where it says due diligence. Okay, and note I have some numbers in here. So let's talk about due diligence. So for each of the key differentiators or needs that you identify in the form, um, uh, excuse me, um, you'll need to identify the form or forms of due diligence that will give you the best information for each of the key differentiators. So essentially, how are you going to go about finding out if vendor A or B um, can provide those or meet those needs, right? So you need to think through, is an RFP the best way? Is an EHR or demonstration of the EHR the best way? Maybe visiting another site or another home care agency that's using that EHR. Is that the best way to find out? Maybe you're going to conduct a reference check or a corporate check. Some of those things might be more for 4 and 5 might be more relevant for these vendor characteristics, um, these needs. Okay, so I hope I'm making sense, but essentially, how are you going to, if your first need is a patient portal, um, one, yes, you can identify that need in an RFP. So you can send that to the vendor and they're going to say, yes, we can provide that. But you could probably also identify if the vendor or the software has in a patient portal by also seeing a demonstration and also visiting another site that's using that EHR product. Okay, so for each of these, you need to decide which is the best way to determine if that vendor can meet those needs. Okay, so what form of due diligence are you going to use in order to find out if they meet those needs? Okay, then the third part of this table is identifying couple vendors, two EHR vendors for home care, um, and do some market research on them. So take out vendor A and vendor B. Okay, at the top of this. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. So take these out and put the names of the actual vendors in there, and then do some market research and find out if they can meet these needs, right? If they have the functionality and things. And so on a scale from 0 to 4. And it's funny, I have a 5 up here, so I'm gonna change that. Um, on a scale from 0 to 4, um, you need to rate them, okay, on if they can meet those needs. And then the very last thing that you need to do is just conclude this with a short statement. Like I said here, 2 to 3 statements on which vendor would be selected and your rationale for their selection. Okay. So I hope I didn't confuse you too much in my explanation here, but at the end here, I do have it listed out what the 2 deliverables are. First is that plan on how you're going to conduct a functional needs assessment for your organization's home care service line. And secondly, a completed table with a vendor selection statement. Okay. So if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always here to support you. As you know, I'm a little behind with grading, so I'm going to be working on that now today to get caught up from last week and being on vacation. And then, of course, I'll start on your EHR usability assignments. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. And if you have, like I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me and reach out. All right, bye.